Dear learners, my name is Dr. Mohammad Nazim, faculty in the Department of Library and Information Science, Aligarh Muslim University. We have already discussed about the concept of documentation and its facets, that is documentation work and documentation services. And we have discussed in detail about the documentation work like preparation of documentation list and documentation services like different kinds of documentation services, specifically current awareness service and selective dissemination of information services. As we have mentioned that documentation is the foundation of information processing and retrieval. Now we are going to start a new topic, that is information retrieval system. And in this lecture, we will try to cover the aspects like the concept, objective and functions of information retrieval system. So the learning objective of this lecture is that at the end of the lecture, learner will be able to define the concept of information retrieval system and will be able to explain the objectives and functions of our information retrieval systems. They will be able to differentiate between the traditional and modern information retrieval system, and they can analyze the importance of information retrieval system in different contexts, for example in the field of library and information science, in the context of computer science, in the context of database technology, and in the context of artificial intelligence. So let us start with the introduction and the need for designing information retrieval system. One of the important factors for the development of information retrieval system is the growing volume of information, particularly the growth of scholarly information. And we can see the recent development in the production and storage of a large amount of scholarly information. If we try to see the records which are included in different scholarly databases like PubMed, like Web of Science, and like Scopus, so we can observe that a large number of records, maybe the bibliographic records or maybe the cited references, are included in these databases. So we can see more than 39 million citations and abstracts are included in the PubMed database, which is the database in the field of medical sciences and biomedical sciences. And if we try to observe the Web of Science, we can see that more than 240 million bibliographic record and around 3 million cited references are included in the Web of Science databases. When we talk about the Scopus, then we can see more than 100 million bibliographic record along with 2.6 billion cited references are included in the Scopus databases. So this growing inclusion of bibliographic and citation references in these databases indicate a growing pattern of information explosion. And to control this information explosion and to find the relevant information from the oceans of information, it is important to develop and design information retrieval system. So need for information retrieval system is because of the large collection of digital and printed documents, and users need efficient search system so that they can find relevant information, and today user expect quick and accurate information from the large amount of information. So ultimately the IR system help users find relevant information from the large amount of information, and that is why an understanding of information retrieval system is very important, because modern libraries, databases and search engines all rely on information retrieval principles. So it is important to define what is information retrieval. The term information retrieval was for the first time coined by Calvin and Moores in the year 1950. And information retrieval can be defined in two different contexts. In the context of the activities and in the context of searching and locating information. So we can say information retrieval is concerned with different kinds of activities, and these activities are related to the organization of processing of and access to information of all form and format. And information retrieval can also be defined in the context of process. It is a process of searching, locating, and accessing relevant information from the large collection of documents. Now, we need to understand what is the meaning of information retrieval system. We have already seen information retrieval is a process related to the location and accessing of relevant information, and information retrieval is related to the activities of organization and storage of relevant information. So in the context of information retrieval system, G. Salton defined information retrieval system is a mechanism which is used to store items of information that need to be processed, created, retrieved, and disseminated to various user groups. According to G. Chaudhary, an information retrieval system allows people to communicate with an information system or service. That is a mechanism of interaction between the users and the system. And the purpose is to find relevant information from multimedia documents, maybe text, maybe graphic images, maybe sound recording, or maybe audio or video. And the ultimate purpose of information retrieval system is to meet the specific needs of the users. And information retrieval system is designed for different purposes. The first important objective of designing information retrieval system is to store large collection of variety of documents. Then the another important objective is to organize the collection of document in a systematic way. And finally, it allows user to search and interact with the information retrieval system and find the relevant information which is required. So in this way, we can say an information retrieval system acts as an interface between user and information source. So here we will try to explain the objectives of the information retrieval system. The major objective of information retrieval system, as outlined earlier, is to enable users to find relevant information from an organized collection of documents. However, there are some specific objectives, that is the organization of large collection of information, retrieving relevant information quickly from the large amount of documents, supporting research and learning. That is important because today most of the researchers depends on the information retrieval system for collecting relevant information, relevant document, relevant research papers related to their area of research. So ultimately, information retrieval system support research and the process of learning. And another important objective is to save the time. That is, we can reduce the time of the users by providing relevant information immediately and speedily. And ultimately, it improves the information accessibility, that we can find almost all kinds of documents related to the topic, which is difficult in case of traditional libraries and traditional databases. So the philosophy and the principle of information retrieval can be understood by just understanding the different aspects of the information retrieval system. We can see on the one side there are writer, there are creator of information who try to put the ideas in the documents. On the other side, there are the users with their information needs, and they needs ideas from the documents. And what is the role of information retrieval system here? The role is that is the matching. The matching of ideas with the user's requirement. So the requirement of the users can be matched with the ideas of the writers. This is a kind of bridge that information retrieval system act as a bridge between the creator of information and user of information. And in this way, an information retrieval system is also considered as a bridge between the creator of information and the user of that information. There are different components of information retrieval system. For example, collection of document processor, user interface, query processor, matching mechanism, and retrieval of results. So the first important component of an information retrieval system is the collection of document. For designing an information retrieval system, it is important that we have to have the collection of document. And the collection of document may be different kinds or in different formats. Different kinds of documents, for example, maybe books, maybe articles of the journals, maybe report, maybe thesis, maybe dissertation. And different formats can be described as the text file, for example, web pages, and electronic documents, images, audios, and videos. So there may be different kinds of documents that to be included in an information retrieval system depending upon the needs of the users and defined user community. Then the next thing is that the next component is the document processor, which is also called the process of indexing. That is also called the analysis of content of the document and their representation. The representation means that is assigning the subject heading and keywords to the document which are to be entered in the information retrieval system. The process of analyzing document to create a searchable data structure, that is in the terminology of modern information retrieval system, is the inverted index or inverted file. So keywords and subject heading can be included in the inverted files in an information retrieval system. The third component is user interface, that is meant for the user, where a user can interact with the information retrieval system by putting a query and retrieving the desired results which are matched with the query. So the user interface work as a bridge between the user and the information retrieval system, providing a search bar for putting the query. And then another important area in the user interface is the display area, where the results can be displayed, and the results may be arranged according to the relevancy. So the third important component is the query processor, because when the user put the query in natural language and the request is put in the natural language, the query processor try to analyze that query and refine it and transform it into the formal representation that can be understood by the system. Then finally, there is a process of matching between the query of the user and between the indexing file of the information retrieval system. On the basis of the core algorithm that compares the processed query against the index to identify documents that are most relevant to the user's request, these results can be retrieved. And the retrieval of result is the ultimate objective of an information retrieval system, and that is why it is one of the important components of information retrieval system. And the final output where the system ranks the matching document by relevance and present them to the users. Now come to the functions of the information retrieval system. An information retrieval system, as we have explained, deals with the various sources of information. And on the other side, the user who has the information needs. Then an information retrieval system must analyze the content of the sources of document as well as analyze the user's query. And then on the basis of the analysis of the contents of the sources of information and the query of the users, it try to match these to retrieve those results, those items, those documents that are more relevant. So in this context, we can discuss different functions of the information retrieval system. The first is the identification of information sources which are relevant to the user's need. So identifying information sources, there may be different kinds of sources that can be included, but users' need is important in the identification and collection of sources of information for the information retrieval system. Then another important function of the information retrieval system is the analysis of the content of sources of document. So analysis is important because on the basis of the analysis of the content of the sources of document, the representation is possible. And representation of content of analyzed sources can be described in a particular indexing language. So representation of content of analyzed sources that match user's query. And the fourth important function is the analysis of the user's query, and also represent them in the form that will be suitable for the matching in the database. So on the one side, the functions of the information retrieval system is to represent the content of the document. That is the representation of content of the analyzed sources of information. It means on the basis of the analysis of the content put it in the document, we try to explain these content in a few words. And these words may be called the keywords, or maybe a subject heading. On the other side, when we try to analyze the user's query and we try to represent the query in the form suitable for the matching of the document in the database. So the same kinds of keywords can be put it here by the user if then only the matching is possible. So matching the search statement with the stored database. So documents are stored in the databases. The contents of the documents are described in terms of keywords and subject heading, and the same kinds of keywords can be put by the users, and then only the matching is possible. And on the basis of the matching, the retrieval of relevant information is possible. The results can be retrieved on the basis of matching of the keywords or subject heading used to describe the content of the document and used to put the query in the information retrieval search interface. And the last function of the information retrieval system is the feedback mechanism, and that is very important for collecting the feedback from the users, for making continuous changes based on feedback, changing users' information needs, and the new development in the information and communication technologies. So this is a continuous efforts in the improvement of the performance of information retrieval system based on feedback, based on the analysis of the changing users' needs, and based on the new development in the information and communication technology. So you can see an outline of the traditional information retrieval system. And for the sake of understanding, it is important to know what is a traditional information retrieval system. So we can see the example, we can take an example of libraries and online public access catalog as the traditional information retrieval system. In the traditional information retrieval system, we have two important things, the system and the user, and then we have a retrieval process. And in the system, what we need to do, we need to acquire document. For example, if a library is a traditional information retrieval system, then we need to do the process of acquisition. That we need to collect the documents. And then after the completion of the process of acquisition, what we need to do, we need to send the document to the technical processing in the technical section, where different kinds of technical processing are carried out. For example, indexing and cataloging, as well as classification if a document is in printed format. And then finally documents are indexed or files are organized we are just making the bibliographic record of the document, or if it is a printed system of organization of documents, then we need to file the cards in the cabinet and try to arrange the books on the shelf. Then come to the user. User basically come with a problem, and this problem is related to the information need, and information needs can be transformed into the question, and question can be transformed into the query. So whatever the need is there, that need can be expressed in the words. Sometimes a user can express the need in one word, but sometimes it is not possible. Two or more than two words may be required to express the need, and then the order of the word is a major problem. And sometimes there is a problem of the language, semantic and syntactic problem. We know semantic problem is related to the problem of language, that is synonyms and antonyms or homograph. And syntactic problems means that is the structure of the query, that is the order of the words which are used to represent the needs of the user. So what we need to do, we need to formulate a search query that can be put it on the interface of information retrieval system. So the same kind of query can be put it as we have described the document. So what kinds of keywords we have given to the document, the same kinds of words can be used in the query, then only the matching is possible. And whatever the records which are matched with the user's query, they can be retrieved, and they are called the retrieved results. But still the feedback is important, and the feedback is important for the whole process of defining the problem, defining the information need, and formulating and reformulating the query of the users. So this is an outline of the traditional information retrieval system. If we talk about the modern information retrieval system, it is very complicated. Complicated in the sense we can see the content creator and producer produce different kinds of document, and these documents may be books, may be journals, may be conference proceedings, may be patents, standards, and maybe multimedia documents like audio, like video, and maybe processed and unprocessed data, and maybe the web pages. So the content in the modern information retrieval system can be stored in one or more location. That is also important, because it is not necessary that all kinds of documents are stored at a single location. They may be located at different places. And we need to have different kinds of theories and models for the purpose of indexing of the different kinds of documents. So index or directories of content in one or more locations are required. And we have different kinds of tools and standards. Tools like indexing, standards like the metadata standards that are required to describe the content that to be included in the inverted file of the information retrieval system. Then what we can see the national and global level of development. The development in the context of the technology. New technologies are emerging, and there are different kinds of regulations, that is the copyright issues of related to access, and the economy, that is the overall development is possible only when we are systematically create the knowledge and make it available to the people. And on the other side, there is a society which need information in different contexts according to different culture and practices, and the users come from different background, and user come with the information can be retrieved when a user can define the need for that information in the form of query. And the query can be put it into the search interface, and in response to the query, the result can be retrieved. And then after the retrieval of result, the important thing is that the appropriateness and relevance of the result. That is very important. So if we are able to find relevant documents or not, relevant information or not. So there are two important parameters for the evaluation of the performance of information retrieval system. That is recall and precision, that we will discuss in the next class. So this is a complex modern information retrieval system where the producer create information in different formats. We have the technology and the different theory and models to try to develop the directory and indexes of these documents and include it into the inverted files of the information retrieval system. And then user may come from different backgrounds, can put in a query into the search interface and retrieve certain results. And then it is very important that we need to know whether the results are appropriate and relevant to the users. So just try to compare the features of the modern and the traditional information retrieval system. The primary goal of traditional information retrieval system is to locate a specific document in the control collection. The controlled collection means the limited collection. But in case of modern information retrieval system that we have seen, a large volume of information and different variety of sources of information may be there, and retrieving relevant content from vast or open source of documents is really a daunting task. But we have the option to find relevant information from the vast amount of information. As far as the data type is concerned, in traditional information retrieval system, mostly structured or semi-structured text is there. For example, library catalog, printing indexes. But in case of modern information retrieval system, the highly unstructured data including text, images, video and audio. So the content in the modern information retrieval system and traditional information retrieval system may be different. Now come to the search method. In the traditional information retrieval system, Boolean logic like and, or, not and exact keyword matching is applied. Whereas in modern information retrieval system, natural language processing is used. Semantic search method, vector-based matching system are used in the modern information retrieval system. When we talk about the organization of content in the traditional and modern information retrieval system, so manual indexing and cataloging is used in the traditional information retrieval system, whereas modern information retrieval system depends on the automatic indexing process using crawlers, spiders that detect the keywords. The organization in the modern information retrieval system is possible through the automatic indexing, where the keywords are extracted using crawlers, spiders, and sometimes machine learning or AI driven metadata system is used in the modern information retrieval system. When we talk about the relevance of result, often binary or simple frequency based system is used in the ranking of results in the traditional information retrieval system. But in case of modern information retrieval system, probabilistic ranking based or intent, context and user personalization is considered when relevance of the retrieved result is decided. The user base of traditional information retrieval system is a smaller, specific group, maybe researchers, maybe students. But in case of modern information retrieval system, the users are a diverse group, come at the global level, and their information needs may be different. So what is the importance of information retrieval system for different stakeholders? So information retrieval system is important for researchers and academia. They may be important for the libraries and information center. They may be useful for the business and industry, they may be useful for government organization, and they are useful for the organization of knowledge in the different kinds of organization. So for the researchers and academia, they can easily locate and search information from the information retrieval system, and ultimately the information retrieval systems provide the support, particularly in the area of literature search and literature review. And if we talk about the importance of information retrieval system for the libraries and information center, it is useful for the organization and management of large collection of information, and for providing fast and accurate information to the user through different kinds of databases and online public access catalog. Business and industry sector can get the benefits of information retrieval system by accessing market and competitive information, supporting decision making and timely information, and managing corporate knowledge and documents. For the government organization, providing access to different policies, reports, and legal information, and it also helps in assisting planning, governance, and public services, and it also possible to improve the transparency and information dissemination. And we know the knowledge management is a process of capturing, organizing, and retrieving organizational knowledge. So information retrieval system can facilitate in sharing of knowledge in different employees of the organization, and ultimately it can support the innovation and learning within an organization. So we will try to conclude the concept of information retrieval system that we have discussed. So information retrieval system focuses on the organization, processing, and access to information from large collection of documents, and it acts as a bridge between the information system and the users. The main objective of information retrieval system is to provide information quickly and accurately from the different categories of sources, and it has different components. For example, document collection, indexing system, query processing, matching mechanism, and user interface where a user can put a query. Information retrieval system performs different kinds of functions like analyzing the documents, analyzing the query of the users, representing the content that are analyzed, and representing the query of the users, and then conducting the matching the queries with the stored data and providing relevant results to the users. Modern information retrieval systems are widely used in different sectors like libraries and databases, research and academia, business and government sector. So with this, we are just concluding that information retrieval system today are important component for finding relevant information by the pupil of all profession, and different kinds of organizations are involved in the development of need-based information retrieval system. So with this is the important list of references that can be consulted for further detail, and with this, thank you very much.